6 p.m. in the top one, that is in Bamenda, chief town of the northwest region of Cameroon. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me on today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast. For presentation, I am Immaculate Fogway. First, our major stories. One of the accused in the journalist Martinez Zogo assassination case, Jean-Pierre Mogo-Belinga, has been denied bail by the Yaoundé Court of Appeal. This is the second time that his lawyers are attempting to free their client. And frequent power cuts is affecting economic activities in several parts of Cameroon. Business operators who solely depend on electricity say they are counting enormous financial losses due to these power outages. You'll be getting their reactions in the course of this newscast. And violence and barbarism takes center stage in some stadiums across during Elite 2 League matches in Cameroon. Cases of fans deciding to barge into pitches and beating up the referee for poorly officiating matches have been very recurrent. Sports authorities condemn the acts of violence, which according to them is tarnishing the image of Cameroonian football. Those were our major stories. The news in full in a few seconds. Stay with us. Thank you for staying tuned to Equinoxe Television. You made the right choice. So begin with our major lead story. The demand by Mogo-Belinga's lawyers to free their client on bail has been rejected by the Court of Appeal. Anabila Leke tells us that it is the second time that the lawyers of Mogo-Belinga are attempting to free their client on bail to no avail. Take a listen. We'll be coming to this report done by Anabila Leke.
One of the main suspects of the Martinez Zogo murder case, Jean-Pierre Mogo-Belinga, on pre-trial detention at the Yaoundé Principal Prison in Kondengi, has been making attempts through his lawyers to regain his freedom. The defense lawyer of Mogo-Belinga, Barrister Charles Chungang, had some months back demanded the military court to free his client on bail. That demand was rejected by the court. A second move by Mogo-Belinga's lawyers, pleading that the man suspected to be one of the main actors in the assassination of Martinez Zogo be released on bail, has again been rejected by the Court of Appeal. This means the boss of Vision Cat Television goes back to the Kondengi Maximum Prison. Another important novelty in the Martinez Zogo murder case is the appointment of a new examining magistrate, Florent Aimé Camo Sekati. He will have to examine, cross-examine and re-examine the Martinez Zogo murder case file and decide whether it goes to court or not for judgment.
And away from the Martinez Zogo murder assassination affair, business and household activities have been grounded in Gonjo neighborhood, that is in the Douala 3 municipality, for about a month now due to power outages. The inhabitants plead for quick solutions so as to get them out of the hardship they are currently facing. We have more of this report done by Innocent Aze.
This stall found at Carrefour Maison d'Oiseau in Pekadou's neighborhood's Douala 3 subdivision has been closed for over a month due to daily power outage lasting several hours or the entire day. Since grinding, sale of fish and sweet drinks stored in the refrigerator are the only activities here, which require constant electricity supply, the operator, faced with this electricity issue, decided to give up on this business. My mom has decided to run a second business. When there is no electricity, she turns to the second option. Households are also not left out of these inconveniences. Amel cannot cook fufu corn because there is no electricity to grind the maize. This other inhabitant says they do not have water at home because of no electricity or low tension to supply water to everyone upstairs. Other residents have switched to other alternatives, the use of portable solar panels to store energy for illumination and to charge their mobile phones. On her part, Mama Julienne, to keep her fish business running, decided to dry the fish so it doesn't get bad, since the engine of her refrigerator has been damaged countless times.
Comme ça là, je peux le conserver, oui. Mais il faut tout le temps le mettre au soleil, soit au bois.
Other activities here have also been paralyzed. Welders, tailors and seamstresses now live like jobless people. We are compelled to close our shops in spite of the huge responsibilities. We are helpless. We get in trouble with clients for not respecting delivery deadline. In a communique made public last Monday, the Minister of Water and Energy Resources said there were supply interruptions noticed in several regions, notably the littoral, due to a fallen transmission line in Edea. The inhabitants of Ngonjo exhorted the authorities concerned to take quick actions or accelerate works so that they are freed from this new hardship they have been battling with for several weeks now.
We now leave the littoral region to the southwest region of Cameroon, where the second ordinary session of the Southwest Regional Assembly for the 2023 financial year took place in Boya, which is a chief town of the southwest region. During the session, councillors raised concerns about the absence of good roads, portable water and electricity in several parts of the region. They equally pointed out the security situation of the region that has resulted to several deaths and displacements. Asia Lucy Liengu was part of that session, and she now explains to us the outcome.
Hit by the crisis for over 6 years, the southwest region of Cameroon has been facing challenges: insecurity, power shortage, water scarcity, amongst others. These challenges were tabled during the second ordinary session of the Southwest Regional Assembly for the 2023 financial year.
We will examine our proposed regional development plan, a key and reference document which will give guidelines and orientation for all development and endeavors by the Southwest Regional Assembly in the next couple of years. We enable the resumption of teaching and learning in the affected classrooms.
The session saw the presence of the governor of the Southwest Region, Bernard Okala Bilai, and regional councillors from the 6 divisions.
We have equally carried out the construction of quite a good number of boreholes in all the 6 divisions across the region, because we realized that the population is in dire need of potable drinking water, because those are the expressions that the needs that they expressed to us. And then we have done also try to extend our policy of solar street lighting. We're going on, we've left the divisional headquarters, we're trying to go to the countryside.
During the meeting, there was also the adoption of the draft regional plan.
During this session, we have also decided to present our draft regional development plan for the examination and approval of regional council. The development plan is like a blueprint. That is what will guide the regional assembly in the next couple of years in carrying out the various development projects in the region.
Despite the difficulties, the 2022 financial year saw an execution rate of 78.5%.
We accomplished quite a good number of things in various domains. In the domain of education, the domain of education means secondary education, because that's our area of competence. The domain of health, as I did in my presentation, we were at 78.5%. Rate of execution.
The session ended with discussions on how to improve the domain of health, education, and the reconstruction of the region.
And on to something else. Just 11% of municipal councils in Cameroon are effectively using ICT tools to ease the production of civil documents. To increase the number of ICT literates in the Adama region, the National Agency for Information and Communication, ANTIC, organized a workshop in Gaundere to train the councillors with basic computer skills. We have details with Mala Glory.
Of the Adama region traveled distances to different municipalities to inquire or seek for particular service which can be obtained online, thus exposing them to several road accidents. The risk is further worsened by the fact that most municipalities lack ICT literates or tools to offer quality service. It is for this reason that a 3-day workshop was organized by the National Agency for Information and Communication in Gaoundéré.
So the objective of this seminar is to train them, to equip them with the skills, the 21st century skills they need to optimize the processes within their municipalities and as such improve service delivery to the population.
A training which was highly welcomed by the councillors, who says with a digitized system the council will benefit. Once we have digitized our production of civil documents, especially the case of birth certificate, we shall benefit a lot. Birth certificate will not be falsified. This is already something good. The National Agency for Information and Technology initiated this training due to the low use of information and communication technology in municipal councils.
After the first 3 editions of this event, we conducted a study which revealed that the ICT penetration rate in our municipalities is barely 11%, which is on the low side.
Their wish is for the training to yield good fruit to ameliorate the well-being of the community. This is coming at a time where Cameroon is joining the world over to observe the International Girls in ICT Day.
The security situation of the Southwest and Littoral regions have been presented to the Major Defense Chief of Staff for onward transmission to the Minister of Defense. These challenges were presented by the military and security commanders of the 2nd Combined Military Region during a visit of the Army Chief of Staff. We have more of this report compiled by Fomi Armstrong Sander.
The Major General and Army Chief of Staff came visiting within a context marked by continuous separatist attacks and confrontations with the army in the Southwest region, which falls within the geographical scope of the 2nd Combined Military Region. A challenging security context also marked by kidnappings, urban criminality in the cities of Douala, Nkongsamba, Limbe, Edia and Kumba, highway robbery on the Douala-Yaoundé highway, crimes of passion in Buya and Douala, among others recorded since the start of the new year 2023. The first semester visit of the Major General took him first to the command post of the 2nd Combined Military Region in the city of Douala, where he was welcomed. After military honors, a 5-point security situation of the region was presented to him by military officials, beginning with Brigadier General Eba, commander of the 2nd Combined Military Region, Brigadier General Ekongwese Divine, commander of the 2nd Gendarmerie Region, Navy Captain Fonkwamba Sylvestre, head of the Multinational Coordination Center Zone D, Colonel Koki Godfrey, commander of the 2nd Military Help Region, and Senior Police Commissioner Raymond Osogo, Littoral Regional Delegate of National Security. The visit of the Army Chief of Staff also had as objective to evaluate the implementation of the recommendations of the Minister of Defense dished out to military officials in December 2022 in Yaoundé. The visit also permitted the Major General and Defense Chief of Staff to give out new orientations and recommendations of the Ministry of Defense to its collaborators.
And now to news regarding the diplomatic relations between Cameroon and the Republic of Chad. Within the framework of efforts to resolve the diplomatic tension between Cameroon and Chad, we take a look at the long-standing military cooperation ties uniting two nations in a common fight against terrorism, done by Babila Jonathan.
Military cooperation between Cameroon and Chad took a higher dimension in 2014 when both countries deployed 1,000 troops to their borders with Nigeria to fight Boko Haram terrorists. Under the leadership of late President Field Marshal Idriss Déby Itno and now his son General Mahamat Idriss Déby, Chad and Cameroon have been collaborating very closely in the anti-terrorist war. Soldiers from both countries constitute a significant proportion of the multinational joint task force fighting the Boko Haram terrorist group
in the Lake Chad Basin. Thus, the need to consolidate a long-standing relationship threatened by the Chad-Cameroon pipeline management conflict pitting Chad and Savannah Energy after the tensions led to Chad calling back her ambassador to Cameroon and the business fight degenerating into a diplomatic war. President Paul Biya dispatched the Secretary General at the Presidency of the Republic, Minister Ferdinand Gongo, to Chad. Some observers think that the important role played by Chad in the fight against Boko Haram and the fact that the headquarters of the multinational joint task force is in the Chadian capital, N'Djamena, could justify the move by Cameroon's President Paul Biya, who sent his envoy to meet Chad's transitional president, General Mahamat Debi. The outcome of the over 2-hour meeting between transition President General Mahamat and President Paul Biya's envoy is expected to open the way out of the diplomatic row between the two neighboring Central African nations.
And now we talk sports. Sports analysts have called on those controlling football in the country to impose tougher sanctions on stubborn clubs and fans in order to curb the rate of violence that has been noticed on our pitches in recent days. According to sports writer Giovanni Wane, it is through serious sanctions that things can go back to normal. We have more on the sports report compiled by Smart Chikan Gabriel.
Resorting to violence on our pitches when results do not go in favor of either the home or away team has become a recurrent situation in Cameroon's football in recent days. A sports writer says this is the worst year since he started covering games in Cameroon Elite Football Championship, that the rate of violence has risen.
The molestation of referees has become an all too regular phenomenon. Unfortunately, my years of coverage in the E1 and E2 Championship is climaxed this season.
Just like other football stakeholders, he also condemned this ongoing act on our pitches.
I'll stand here to first of all condemn the fact, referee molestation. No one deserves to be beaten at their job site. I mean, if fans were equally to be beaten for not supporting their teams the way they are supposed to do, then I think we will not be in a good football environment. So
the sport writer thinks that because of this negative image shown outside the country, the impacts are already being felt.
I equally like to say that this has been the worst season as per referee in the past 10 years or so in the E1 and 2 Championship. Something is going wrong somewhere, and even in the international scene, we've lost quite a couple of spots when it comes to refereeing, because in the under-17 East Africa Cup of Nations, just 2 referees have been selected from Cameroon, which is so unusual.
But what sanctions should be given to the clubs and fans who are involved in causing disorder on our pitches?
Just like what happened in Bafang when Unisport hosted Victoria United, when the game was abruptly stopped. The Bafang Municipal Stadium was suspended momentarily, and 3 points were taken off Unisport Bafang for more severe sanctions, as the text of course says. The team could be relegated into the inferior leagues, just like what could happen. We're here we await the hearing of what will happen to Lausanne, but 3 points could be taken off Lausanne and they could be relegated to the inferior leagues.
The latest violence recorded on our pitch was last Wednesday when disgruntled supporters of Lausanne SA trashed the referee because of what they termed poor officiation of the match between Rangers FC of Bafut. Meanwhile, in Betua, referees were only taken away on security vans after Stade Betua lost to Victoria United 1-2. Earlier on, it was Unisport Bafang that suffered a huge sanction from the committee in charge of Elite 2 and Elite 1 football because their fans invaded the pitch and trashed the referee in their game against Victoria United.
Just like the city of Douala, many other localities have been experiencing frequent power cuts. How then do we solve this problem? That's what we'll be looking at on today's edition of Talking Point. That's it for the first part. Talking Point is up next. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us on the second part of the news. On today's edition of Talking Point, I will be receiving Doom Emmanuel. He is a civil society activist, and we'll be talking about the frequent pockets that we have been experiencing in the city of Douala and in other localities across Cameroon. So, Doom Emmanuel, it is a pleasure having you on the program today. Then, how have you been witnessing the frequent pockets in Douala?
Just like every other keen citizen in Douala these days, you must have noticed that we have been going through the toughest time when it comes to supply of electricity. And of course, I want to start by saying that it is very dangerous to lie, but it is more dangerous to tell a lie to the people when you know that you are lying. You know, some time ago in March, this epileptic electricity supply was almost becoming a new normal when the minister of this domain promised Cameroonians that as from the 1st of April, everything was going to be stable. And we were praying and fasting, even thinking that before this 1st of April, everything was going to be, stable. Unfortunately, it has become worse than it used to be in the previous months. And I've been asking myself, what did Cameroonians really do wrong to the Cameroonian government that they have not been able to tell us to be able to apologize to this government so that at least for once in the history of Cameroon, Cameroonians can enjoy what is a basic necessity for them. And what beats my imagination is that Cameroonians cry, yet they go about their daily activities. I want to shift tonight from blaming the government, and I want to start blaming the citizens of Cameroon who have been so patriotic to an unpatriotic leadership for 41 years, that your eyes are so closed, that you have been patriotic to an unpatriotic leadership that has failed to give you what belongs to you, what is your own basic necessity. You cannot consume it in your country. They will tell you, some of their songbirds, praise singers will tell you, we have Memvele, we have Songlulu, we have Menchong, we have this. And my question has always been, with all of this, we are still begging electricity. Where then did we go wrong? I wish that tonight the government should actually come out clear and tell us as citizens of this country where we went wrong, so that we can go down on our knees, apologize, and start benefiting from what is rightfully ours in this country, because we have the natural potentials. We don't know where we went wrong.
Emmanuel, the situation seems to be very disturbing, as some locals complain that they have been without electricity for at least 7 days. This should be really a complicated situation for them, right?
For those who say 7 days, they are very fortunate there. I will be giving you practical examples on the field. If you like, as I'm leaving your studio now, take your cameraman and your reporters to Logbesu, carry full Logbesu, going down to Antenne CRTV bar. I mean, you will discover that for about 11 days, they have not had electricity there. So those people who are saying that 7 days, it means that there is a divine favor lurching around the quarter in which they live that has been favoring them. I am telling you, and it is practical, you can find out. Come to where I live in Lokpom. We went for 4 days without electricity. That's a line we are told that in every situation, that in no circumstance should electricity be cut from that line for some reason. Yet, 4 days, if we can go without electricity, then I only add my voice to that person who says 7 days to say divine favor has been lurking around our quarters. But we should know that there are quarters that even go for more than 2 weeks. You are concentrated in Douala and Manila Freeway. Let me take you out of Douala to Boyo Division, where I come from, and the entire Northwest region. I tell you in all sincerity, electricity in Bamenda is ration. Between 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, they cut it. And it only resumes, it only comes back at 6:30 p.m. Now, the people will tell you that electric poles have been falling there. They cannot erect them because amber boys are there. Okay, very good example. Now, in Douala, in Lokpom, We are talking about the economic capital of a beautiful Cameroon that was meant never to be beautiful by its leader. Now we are asking, who are those boys stopping you people in Douala from erecting these old, obsolete, outdated electricity poles that I see now existing all in Cameroon? Where in the world are we still having electricity poles that are still sticks, that have not even been treated? Then you discover that all of this boils down to one thing. As the government has discovered that Cameroonians are very docile, they fear that, it's still in there. They have discovered to do with us whatever thing they want. It's regrettable. It's sad.
Dilma Manuel, let's look at the economic impact of these frequent power cuts. Here, I'm thinking about owners of cold stores and other business ventures that solely rely on electricity. I think they should be incurring enormous losses during such a period.
I'll be very succinct with you. This is where, once more, I place the blame on the Cameroonians. An old lady who borrows money from a certain credit union that will not sound the name here cried the other day. Tears ran down her cheeks. Why? The business, she has a small cold store, and this woman happened to be a displaced citizen from the northwest of Cameroon because of the war that is going on there. She stood the other day, she cried, and her wrapper fell down. This is a true story, and if they want the facts, we will bring them. Why? Electricity for 8 days damaged everything that she had in her little shop. Her problem was not even the damage she gave. Her worry this time was, how am I going to pay back the money I loaned from the credit union? And the worst thing is that these cool store owners equally pay taxes to the Cameroon government, immaculate. Tell me, if this is not the only government in the world that scams its citizens, how do you explain the fact that citizens who pay their regular taxes, as their cold store shops will be sealed, pay in time, yet you don't give them electricity to support their business? They will tell you that we are planning to emerge by 2035. Tell me one country in the world that ever emerged without stability in the energy sector. Because to emerge, we need industries. Now, what will support the industries when we don't have the stable electricity? Whereas we have everything that warrants us to enjoy these things. Celebrate electricity even for 100 years without failure.
Now that exams are fast approaching, we are talking about GC ordinary level, GC advanced level, CAP, and many other exams are approaching. Can this not have an impact on the performance of students in Cameroon?
You lighten the weight of the magnitude of the suffering of these students. We are on the field. Remember, I'm equally a teacher. What these children go, the mock examination that just ended this week, remember some children were coming very skeptical. Some were not even prepared again to read, to write, because they have not had the opportunity to read. Now, since in this case, the blunt of the hammer usually falls on the low-key persons, those high-profile people, they have their solar energies, they go about it. It affects their studies, it will affect their results, and it will even affect their psychology as they go in for this examination. Which it just simply tells you that this country, somebody says somewhere, and I queue with a person. At one point in time, I am tempted to think that the landlords of Cameroon are somewhere while we are just tenants. And of course, as tenants, a tenant can only complain, but the owner of the house remains the owner of the house, and he keeps the house the way he wants. It is sad. It's so sad.
Considering the above things you mentioned, can we start talking about violations of consumer rights?
Why not? But for all this while, I have not seen the different associations in Cameroon rise up to reclaim their rights that have been violated. Because if we can agree that the right to food is a right to be respected, if we can agree that the right to water is a right to be respected. Now, we need the right to light is equally a right that should be respected. So I am thinking that at one point in time, if Cameroonians do not copy good examples from other neighboring countries, we are doomed to remain in this quagmire for a very long time. And I want to think that every country where the leadership becomes so unpatriotic, it is the turn of the patriotic citizens of that nation to make the right decisions on how to see things go well. We have to go past the period of speeches and slogans. We have to go practically.
From my findings, I noticed that those who face such situations are still served exorbitant electricity bills, despite the fact that they have been in the dark for days. How come?
No, it's not funny. It could be funny to you and I. The affair of the exorbitant bills could be funny to you and I, who are just average Cameroonian citizens. For those who have put us in this tight corner, or at this tight corner, to them it's not funny. They are used to it. You know, the best thing that happens to Cameroon leadership, the best moment in their life, is to know that the low citizen is suffering. And that's one of the ingredients that they have used, that they have spiced up their leadership for 41 years to make sure that you and I will remain spellbound. When we are suffering, we don't have enough energy to talk about them. When we are suffering, fear, grips us. When we are suffering, that's the best time in life. And because of all this, I think it can only be funny to you and I, and to that low mama in Akwaya, to Kumbere, but to them, it's very okay. Remember, some of them even drink water that is not fabricated in this country, that is brought in from somewhere. Which means that if there was another universe where they could buy different oxygen and give to these people, they will be using oxygen that is not from Cameroon, and then we use the second-class oxygen that they have abandoned to us in Cameroon. That is where we find ourselves today in this country.
But so now, do you think this can have a significant impact on the cost and standard of living of Cameroonians?
No, I want to think that I could not leave your studio without saying that, again, this is part of the bad effects of privatization. Cameroonians have come of age. We have engineers, we have technicians in this country. I think it is high time the electricity of Cameroon be given back to the nationals. Let us manage it our own way and fail, and then blame ourselves. Again and again, as we are dealing with a government that has no ears, no eyes to listen, nor to see, every Cameroonian should know you are responsible for your well-being. Don't rely on the government. If for that mama who was crying about lost capital because she hasn't had electricity for about 11, 12 days, let that mama and everybody following talking point tonight take the road to a substitute. I think we should go the generator way. If there was even a possibility for the cold store vendors to boycott, to select some days that they don't sell, so that Cameroonians go on hunger for some time, maybe it will reawaken their brains so that when something is going on in the country, they will know how to hold the government accountable. And again, I want to say, the Cameroon government, which is well noted for its failure, with a very blueprint report card on the failure, should know that we, us the citizens, we need to enjoy what is a basic right. We are not begging them. Because at one point, when they will restitute electricity for about a week, they will tell us that it is the will of Mr. Biya. No. We are saying that whatsoever a leader does to his citizens is not a favor. You are there because you have been given the power to do that. It is not a favor you are doing to us. So every government official in this country, you do not owe us a favor. You are not offering us. It's a service that you must, I underline, must offer to Cameroonians. So we are not begging it. It's our right.
Dium Emmanuel, civil society activist, thank you so much for participating on today's edition of Talking Point. And equally, thank you to all ladies and gentlemen. That's where we put a cap to today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast. Thank you so much for your keen attention. Stay in the company of more interesting programs on Equinoxe Television.